luxury SUV segment is one of the fastest growing and fiercely competitive out there.
Right here we have the 2018 Audi Q5, which is all new, completely redesigned from the ground up, and the 2017 Jaguar F-Pace. We want to find out which one offers certain benefits to certain drivers. Let's go find out.
Okay, let's start with performance. This is the 35T model, and of course that means it's a 3-liter supercharged V6. 340 horsepower, which is plenty.
Oh yeah.
What does that Q5 have?
Less.
Okay. What I like about this V6 is that when you get into the sport mode, you get on the throttle, like, hey.
It sounds good.
It sounds like there's an engine. So performance, I think, is pretty strong with the F-Pace, especially this 35T model. It is fun to drive. It has some excitement to the experience from that exhaust sound, from the overall feel. And I think actually like the sleek exterior design, even though you can't see it when you're driving, that adds to the experience. You know you're driving something that looks cool and has some sort of fun or excitement to it. You spent some time driving this. How's the power delivery from this turbo engine?
It's great. I mean, like every other turbo that's out there now, there's no lag. It doesn't exist anymore. There's a little bit of some low-speed clumsiness here and there, but it's sporadic. Power is more than adequate for most drivers. If you need more, there's the SQ5 with a ton more power. I think 352 or 354, something ridiculous.
More than
like
plenty.
that.
You know what I don't hear?
What?
Engine.
Yeah, okay. So, that's a 4-cylinder.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but it's a 4-cylinder.
It's a 4-cylinder, but it's not a drony 4-cylinder.
Right.
That's not bad. This is a fine riding SUV. It handles these corners really nicely, but sometimes I feel like it is a little firmer.
It is, sure.
Than the comfort level I would want out of a luxury SUV.
Right. But I feel that a lot of people who might be looking at the Jaguar would be okay with it. I mean, it's certainly not an objectionable level.
No. And when you're buying a Jaguar, you're accepting that, hey, there's a trade-off here.
Sure. I spent many hours driving this and never felt any seat fatigue. There's plenty of adjustments to make sure that if you're tall or short, that it'll fit you well. The one thing that bothers me, though, is ventilated seats aren't available until you get to the very top Prestige trim. And ride quality, though, I think it's got a good balance. It's not as smooth as some of the other luxury SUVs, but it handles really well.
I think from the passenger seat, it feels appropriate. I'm not blown away by comfort, but I'm not like disappointed by it either. It feels like what I would expect. The F-Pace's interior is, I wouldn't say, disappointing, but it lacks a certain richness or quality that you get out of like the Audis and the Mercedes of the world, right?
At this trim level.
Yes.
At the S level, you have more leather, more kind of cool coverings that make it look more expensive and upmarket. Well, it is more expensive.
Yeah.
But the Audi, even in base form, they're using the same materials.
There's almost kind of a plainness through here. And it's not that it's bad, it's just like the other cars in the segment seem to do a little bit better than this one. I do wish on that point, though, that this shifter didn't take up so much space in the center. Yeah. So it would be nice to have that, a shifter in today doesn't need to take up like half a foot of space.
No, it doesn't.
It can be a stock on the steering wheel. Like, you're not actually, like, let's not kid ourselves. We're not controlling any like mechanical components ananymore, right? It's all electronic. I
like that this knob is kind of cool. It's knurled and it rises from the surface, and there's that little extra touch that kind of makes me happy.
It sort of matches the theater that you want to have out of a luxury SUV. Like the light behind the start-stop button like pulsates when you get in, and the shifter like comes out, and they're gimmicks,
but it makes you feel like there's something special going on that other cars don't have. I think the Q5 might be the class leader now.
Okay.
And a lot of it has to do with what we're looking at right now, which is the interior. Look at these materials. I mean, it's premium stuff. Like, this is really nice. Everything has a nice feel and touch and look to it. I love the way they integrate all the tech. There's a ton of features, and it's all easy to use. They have this yacht handle out of the A8.
The yacht handle.
Actually, what they used to call it.
I like yacht handle.
And you rest your elbow on the armrest. It goes over, your wrist is on the yacht handle, and it's right where the knob is to control the infotainment.
You kind of sealed the deal with yacht handle.
Yacht handle.
Yacht handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hashtag yacht handle. Yeah. The screen, even though when they first started putting them up there and looking like a tablet, I was kind of opposed to it, but after some use and you realize that, man, it's right in your sight line, I really like it.
I do kind of wish that the screen was a little bit more integrated into the dash. I get it why they do it like this, but it does kind of look like you've just stuck a phone or a tablet, like just taped it to the dash. My initial impression going from the driver's seat of the F-Pace to the passenger seat here is I sense the difference in size. Mm-hmm. This feels a little smaller, but at the same time, it also feels a little airier inside. Here, I feel like I have a lot more shoulder space and tons more headroom. Even if that's not true, that's my impression from sitting here. We have nice features. We have heated seats. There's heated seats back there. Mm-hmm. This widescreen navigation system, entertainment system is really responsive, looks neat, but Android Auto isn't supported. Apple CarPlay support is apparently on the way. You look at other vehicles in the segment that offer those things or have cleaner displays or more functionality, and you're like, well, it's kind of disappointment that this thing doesn't. What's that you're looking at right there?
The virtual instrument panel. I love these.
Yeah.
I really do. Audi's been putting in almost everything. It's tack sharp. Even when we're in direct sunlight, it's really easy to read. It's semi-customizable, so you can go from one view to another and you can see a big nav map like this.
Yeah.
You get a ton of information without really having to take your eyes off the road very much. I mean, I'm peeking down here and I'm still keeping a good reference of what's in front of us. When you don't have a touchscreen in Apple CarPlay, that means you have to use this knob to kind of scroll through all the little hotspots on the screen. There's some shortcuts. You can move the knob left, right, up, and down to kind of get to one section or another quickly, but it's not as intuitive as a touchscreen. So here we're in the back seat of the Q5. I'm running out of a little bit of headroom thanks to this sunroof rail, and I'm not getting a whole lot of thigh support further forward. But back seats, you can't really expect too much, right?
I've got good knee room. I've got good headroom. I like the softness of the seats, even if the support might be a little lacking. I feel like the seat comfort is pretty decent. I feel like just back here, there's less attention paid to the appearance overall, as you might expect, because most people sit in the front seat of these cars anyway, so why spend more money back here? But it does seem a bit more apparent in the Q5.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that it feels a little bit more like a Volkswagen back here, and I'm kind of with you on that one. But on a road trip, I think I'd be okay back here.
Totally. Welcome to my office.
It's a nice office.
Yeah. You know, the F-Pace's back seat, I feel like I have a little bit more space in every dimension. I notice
I am not brushing this.
Your wonderful hair is not touching the headrest. I feel like I have a bit more space. The seats are a little firmer, especially towards the center. There's like a
crown.
Yeah.
Materials-wise, it feels just slightly better than the Q5, even though this center thing isn't all that attractive either. But I do like that, these little
the two USB ports and 12 volt,
that are covered as well.
I feel like from front to rear, there's more consistency in terms of interior quality. Where over in the Q5, it may be a more dramatic change. But the space back here is bigger because, of course, this is just a bigger vehicle, so it gets the advantage of that.
Yeah.
But it's nice having a bit more headroom back here.
Yeah, I'm not feeling quite as much shoulder room on the outboard, but that's such a nitpicky little thing.
What are upside? Reclining seats.
Takes a bit of time to get there.
The Q5 doesn't have this though, so what's
okay,
up?
Fine.
No, I think anybody would be comfortable back here for a long time.
Yeah, and generally you're going to be putting smaller people back here.
When comparing this to the Q5, we have to take into account that the F-Pace is a little bit bigger than most of the vehicles in this segment.
Yes.
And one of the ways that manifests is that this thing has, decent cargo capacity and decent rear side space because it's slightly bigger.
I would actually go further and say exceptional for the class, because I had a 74-inch flat pack cabinet that fit with the second row folded, and I didn't have to take it out of the box. I didn't have to leave the hatch open. It closed on it. It was shocking that it was that easy. So I give it really high marks for that.
I feel the F-Pace, I think, is the clear design winner here.
It's a very pretty car.
This has a very understated look, which isn't a bad thing.
That's Audi's character.
If I want to spend money on something nice, it should have that feel at something nice. You don't need to be flashy
Right.
to have that feel, but there does need to be some elements of design that stand out or at least give you that sense of worth.
This, like you said, is understated, but modern and kind of chiseled. And
Yeah.
it's got the new Audi look, which I'm not a big fan of the grille. Everybody's doing these sharp trapezoidal grills. I want them to go away. But I like the way it looks.
An interesting thing happened to me yesterday as I was fueling this thing up. A guy actually walked up and said, "Hey, cool Jag." Nobody would do that to a luxury SUV. You park any luxury SUV.
Yeah, when's the last time someone said, "Hey, nice X5"?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen. But it did with this F-Pace because this thing does a great job of standing out and having an identity that's more unique. We like the Jaguar F-Pace a lot, primarily because of how it looks, but also because of how it drives. It's a very emotionally appealing SUV, and that means it's a very easy car to recommend.
And the Q5 is as easy to recommend. I mean, the styling maybe isn't as sculpted and seductive as the Jag, but it's got some aggression and some chiseled lines, and I personally like it a lot. But it really gets high marks for the interior. The interior is impeccable. If I were choosing between the two, it'd be a really tough choice, but I would just barely give it to the Audi. So that says you should really take your time in the test drive, really get to know the cars. Honestly, I don't think there's a deal breaker with any of these. It's probably gonna come down to personal preference.
Thanks for watching this comparison. If you want to see more, keep it tuned right here.